Hey everyone! Today we're going to tackle a massive idea. How we organize, well, everything. From your school notes to every single living thing on this planet, there's a system to put it all in its proper place. So let's jump right in. First up, a quick question for you. Do you ever just look at your room or your desk and feel like it's just chaos? You know that feeling, right? Being totally overwhelmed by too much stuff, too much information. Well, that feeling is exactly where we're going to start. I want you to picture your school binder. Now, imagine if you just threw every single piece of paper in there. Math homework, science notes, history worksheets, all jumbled together. How would you ever find anything? It'd be a total nightmare. Or how about your phone? What if all your contacts were just one big random list? No alphabetical order, nothing. Can you imagine trying to find your friend's number? You'd be scrolling for like an hour. Okay, one more. Your closet. Most of us, without even thinking about it, put all the shirts together, all the pants together. Why do we do that? Because it makes getting dressed in the morning way, way faster. See? You're already an expert at this. So all these things, the binder, the phone, the closet, they're all using something called a classification system. It's really just a fancy way of saying we're organizing things into groups. It's how we turn a huge mess into something that actually makes sense. So, organizing your binder is one thing, but I want you to imagine having the biggest organizing job in the entire world. That's pretty much the challenge that scientists faced when they try to make sense of all life on Earth. Get ready for this number. Scientists estimate there are about 8.7 million different species on our planet. That is a massive number of plants, animals, fungi, everything. How in the world could you possibly keep track of all that? And that brings us to our big question for today. With literally millions of different living things, how do scientists build a system to organize it all? You can't just stick them all in one giant folder, right? Well, it turns out they start with 5 really big groups. These are called kingdoms. Just think of them as the 5 main folders for every living thing. And I mean every single thing, from the tiniest germ to the biggest blue whale, fits into one of these 5 groups. And here they are, the 5 kingdoms of life. You've got Monerins. Those are basically bacteria. Then you have Protists, which are other tiny single-celled things. Fungi, like mushrooms. Plants, of course. And finally, animals. And yep, that last group, that's us. So how do scientists know which folder to put everything in? To sort it all out, scientists act like detectives. They look for a few key differences, a few important clues, to figure out where each living thing belongs. It's all about asking the right questions. They basically ask 3 main questions. First, is it made of just one single cell, or is it made of many cells? Pretty simple. Second, does it have something called a cell wall? You can think of a cell wall as a strong, stiff box around a cell that helps it keep its shape. And third, does it have chloroplasts? These are amazing little things inside a cell that act like tiny solar panels, turning sunlight into food. And as you can see on this chart, just by answering yes or no to these questions, you can figure out which kingdom almost anything belongs to. So let's look at 2 groups we know really well, plants and animals. Plants have those strong cell walls. That's why a tree can stand up straight. But it also means it can't just get up and walk away. They also have chloroplasts, which is how they make their own food. Now, animals are the exact opposite. We don't have cell walls, which lets us be flexible and move around. And because we don't have chloroplasts, we have to go find our food instead of making it. See, those differences explain so much. Now let's check out the really small stuff. Monerins, again, that's bacteria, and protists are both single-celled. But here's the difference. Monerins have that protective cell wall, but they can't use sunlight for food. Protists are the other way around. They don't have a cell wall, but a lot of them do have those chloroplasts to make their own energy. It's those tiny little details that put them into 2 totally different kingdoms. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Once you have your big groups, you can get even more organized by making smaller and smaller subgroups. Let's use the animal kingdom as an example. So here's how you could do it. First, you could make a main group based on how animals move. Let's say animals that walk on 4 legs. Okay, cool. Then, inside that group, you can make a subgroup based on what they eat. For example, animals that only eat plants. All of a sudden, you've got a really specific category that has things like cows and horses in it. See how we're getting more and more specific? Okay, so that's a lot of science, I know, but you might be wondering, why does any of this actually matter to me?
how does putting stuff into neat little boxes help us in the real world?
Let's bring it all back home. Why should you care about classification systems? Well, believe it or not, they can help you make some pretty big decisions in your own life. For example, let's say you really want to get a pet. If you think about pets using a classification system, you can sort them out. You could start with a big group, like pets that don't need a lot of space. Then you can make a subgroup for pets that are easy to take care of. This system helps you find the perfect pet for you and your family. It makes a big choice so much easier. So here's the big takeaway. Classification isn't just for scientists in a lab. It's a super useful tool for all of us. It helps us turn chaos into order and helps us understand the world a little bit better. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What else in your life can you classify? Maybe your favorite music or the characters in a video game. When you start sorting, you'll be amazed at how much clearer everything becomes.